You hit me with something really, really interesting on a recent conversation that we had on the phone. You were like, I will walk around a room or a reception area or a cocktail area and I can get, and you were not being braggadocious at all
I
about it.
know where this is
You,
going.
yeah, but you were like, I can get another, 20, 30, 50 grand in the live auction and fund and need just by walking around that cocktail area. And that's a gift. And a lot of people don't think about that. And a lot of people don't realize that that's what someone like you brings to the table. Talk about that and how important it is just to be that, gregarious and outgoing.
I think the important thing is just not to be afraid to go after it. I mean, my whole MO is if you don't ask, the answer is no. And I know so many
Yeah.
organizations get nervous about asking for something and they hate to ask for money. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, you have to ask for money. That's
Yeah.
where this goes. But I know the American Cancer Society, they were cracking up because they were like, I was getting this reputation of following people to the bathroom to get money. So, because
I
we
love it.
we had a CEO and he had bodyguards with him, and I just kept trying to kind of touch base with him because I said, "Where are we going to be at, to kick off the night with our fentanyl?" They said, "Well, we're not sure. He's kind of being subtle, so we haven't wanted to push it." So I just walked to him and I said, "Hey, Michael, so kind of what are you thinking tonight?" I literally waited till he came out of the bathroom, and then I was right there. And I said, "So what are we thinking tonight on the fun to need?" And he goes, "Oh, Shannon." He goes, "Where do you want me to be?" And I said, "Well, I was thinking 200,000." He goes, "I was thinking 50." And he goes, "All right, 200 it is." And I'm like, "Okay." So,
Oh,
so it's
yeah.
kind of like, that's a win-win. And the same American Cancer Society again, but it was this fall, different chapter. Uh, and I'm just like, we were at $986,000. So we were like $14,000 from our goal of $1 million. And the DD, Sherry's looking at me. She's like, "Shannon, what are we going to do?" And I'm looking over and our guy who's just he's amazing. He's gone and I look at his wife and I'm like, "Where's Robert?" She goes, "He's in the bathroom." So I'm running in my high heels, headed to the bathroom again. But this time I catch him on the way in the bathroom. And I say, "Robert, we're $16,000 short of $1 million." I said, "Can I sell a second package?" And he goes, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's fine. That's fine." So
Nice.
it's amazing that when you catch people and they're going to the bathroom, the answer is yes.
Well, you caught him on the way too, so we had to make a quick decision. Not trying to get too personal about old Robert there, but yeah, it's different than when you're catching someone on the way out. You got a little more time. Well, greetings and salutations. An old friend of ours, I refer to her as Auction Shannon for the longest time. Shannon Eason with Everything Gala is joining us, and she asked me, "Hey, what do we got for questions?" Like, I'm going to hit you with some rapid fire stuff. It's funny that you just mentioned that about selling another one. That was another question. It'll segue nicely into my next question. And thank you so much for coming. It's a pleasure to have you. I want you to talk to folks about having that same conversation about donated items because in that same story, it sounds like you were talking about, can I sell another one? And this is coming up a lot recently, as a matter of fact. It's like the donated home, the chef's experience at the house with the wine because we have the cellar and the blah, 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 and all these things that are really, really awesome experiences that we're really pushing folks to make sure they have. And I know you do as well in their live auction, for instance. But that conversation that needs to be had with these donors, board members, folks the board members know about selling those things more than once. Are you in your pre-planning, not just night of, for instance, in that impromptu moment, are you coaching up committees and boards and development teams and event teams to start asking folks, okay, well, I got the experience for 10 at your house, but there's going to be a good chance with someone of your talent I'm going to be able to sell another one.
Well, we love donated items. There's no doubt that
Yeah.
donated items, we get to keep 100% for the organization. So we love that. And yes, if you can get a chance to get a second one, and it might be that they say, "Well, Shannon, if you can get 10,000, we'll do a second one." So having that talk is really important. And also knowing the donors, because some people don't like to be put on the spot. They're very
Right.
embarrassed or they feel
Mhm.
pressured. And in the moment, that works great. But not so much whenever you go back to them the next time. So you want to respect really what their comfort zone is. And if that is talking to them ahead of time, then definitely we want to do that. But we also call something else. So donated items are great, but you're limited and you can't sell multiples typically of a donated item. So that's when we've got to look for that Oprah moment, like we call it. And I
Yeah.
think that what you have to be really careful of is that making sure that that Oprah moment is something that is going to be appealing to a lot of people, and it
Mhm.
has a little bit of that wow factor, but also is in a really good price point. And
Yeah.
so that's the key factors that I'm looking for. And then when I'm selling
Yeah.
that Oprah moment, no one knows ahead of time. We're not going to advertise it. We're going to have more than one of these, obviously. So it looks
Sure.
like we're just going to have one and we sell that. And then it's, you get a trip and you get a trip and you get a trip. And so, you know, you can't do that with a donated item. That's why we've got to go to consignment. And really that's kind
Yeah.
of what I look for when I'm looking for a consignment. A package is one that I can really sell multiples of. And it's okay to have two or three packages in your live auction that are consignment. But boy, if
Mhm.
you don't have any donated items, boy, that starts getting a little tough. And I
Yeah.
think that that's going to be reflective to your audience is going to be a little bit, wonder where their dinners are, and I wonder where their sports, where's the diversity, and where's
Yeah.
where's the variety. So I think that's really important is, you want to look at the variety of packages being offered too.
Absolutely, and we can get into the nitty-gritty of like, okay, you've broken records and sold items, the Oprah moment 50 times, things like that, to
59.
create it 59 times and, raise over $60,000 net in a live auction setting. It's amazing. And I've never heard anyone do more than that. That's amazing. And we'll get into your prowess as well. We got a lot to talk about, but I want to start with this though. Um, how are you coaching these organizations to engage their board and committees to get these donated items? We call it the people exercise, where you get with the board and you're like, who do you know? Can they write a check and not miss it? Do they have capacity? Do they have access? Do they own a private plane? Stuff like that. Are you getting in the nitty gritty with different committees and organizations, and how are you coaching them to find these experiences?
It's the board, and that's where you start. And I mean, we all hear board challenges. Oh my gosh, our board just doesn't have that access, or our board, is not as active and not as engaged as what we're hoping for. And if your board isn't coming in and providing those type of items, then maybe it's time to either add some more board members, um, and maybe they're tired and ready to be replaced, and maybe it's time for that too. But yes, we got to go to the board and then say, okay, it's okay if you don't have that item, but who do you have access to? So it's not like we're just looking at the board to say, what do you have? But it's like, okay, board members, who do you have access to that has this package? Because now we've just taken and broadened that entire, that circle of influence. We've heard that term for years and years, but
Yeah,
we're really wanting to get into that circle of influence. And yes, looking for all those specialty packages that we can't get somewhere else. It's getting harder and harder. But something too, Trevor, is if you've had an item 2 or 3 years, how long do you keep having that same item before you switch them out? So, we've got some great places that have had, a private flight, and you go into maybe the Masters, and my we've sold that 3 times. It's bringing, 40,000, $50,000. So do we keep going with it? And, for me, the answer is if it's still bringing 40, $50,000 and people are enjoying it and it's selling well, heck yes, where else are you going to get a package like that? Those are hard to come by. So keep
totally.
on it, keep doing those packages until it's just looking like it's tired. And then when it's tired, let's switch it out and find something new.
That's a difficult conversation sometimes to have with donors, the folks that own those experiences and what have you. I mean, let's just say it's not a 40 or $50,000, item in the live, but it's like a $10,000 item. Do you ever like advise organizations that you work with to put it in like a super silent or use it as a golden ticket, so we're not, telling the donor, no, there's no value to what you've given us for the last couple of years, but it's kind of gotten a little stale in the live, and it's kind of a difficult conversation and whatnot. What are some other ways that you can, because this is a long game. It's year after year after year,
Right.
right? And we got to think in that regard, and make sure that we give folks things that they want to bid on.
Well, one of the
That's
things
our
that we
that's
did
our
this
world.
year is we
Yeah.
repackaged one. So we had a donated home that they'd been just giving us the same pictures for 2 or 3 years. And so last year I said, okay, if we're going to get this item again, let's repackage this. Let's rebrand it, if you would, and come in with some drone photography and a video, a stinger video. And oh my gosh, it killed it. We almost doubled what it
Yeah.
brought the year before just because it looked fresh and new. And so to me, that is a great idea. If you've got that same item, then switch it up and make it look like it's new and fresh and different. And that way you're
Yeah.
still honoring that donor. And the donor loved us for that. They were like, "Oh my gosh," when they saw their home go from 8,000 to 15,000, it was like, "Oh my gosh, just that made them happy too." So,
Yeah.
one of the things that I'm seeing is stingers. I mean, I love stingers. It's like a 20-second video. It's like a commercial for the item that you're selling. And I'll tell private schools, your kids can do this. Any of our
Yeah.
schools, give this as a project to your journalism department or one of your classes because they can knock it out with TikTok videos for free, right? And
Yeah.
they're killing it and they're having fun with it. But I'm going to tell you that stingers have raised the ROI incredibly. I mean, we're talking about the same packages because schools do a lot of the same packages, right?
Yeah.
And we are
Yeah.
taking those, adding that 20 to 30-second stinger and it's just elevating it. Plus, let's just say for a school, you know how parents love to sit there and see a video with their kid's face in it, right? So this is an opportunity to really flash some of those kids' faces in it and up the game on that. So that's
I
going to
love
be
it.
my go-to. I love stingers.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's double click on that. You're a champion auctioneer. You come from auctioneer lineage. Uh, you're auctioneer royalty, and very, very accomplished. And you've been at this for a very long time. How powerful! Not just with those, I call them like sizzle reels, for instance. You call them
That's it. Yeah.
stingers. Great. I think it's awesome. And I think, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm not going to get in this long story, but like, I'm like, get the local really, really outgoing husband and wife, real estate team in your area, because we have one in our area. We have this real estate, couple that just their media is on point and the drone shots. And I was like, have them do a sizzle reel about your event when they come to your event, for instance, if you're not, a school like Shannon was mentioning. But for instance, video is becoming exceptionally powerful at events. Telling a story quickly, telling a story with sizzle, with sting, right? And all that stuff. Just talk about just that, the advent of video and how powerful it's become at events, and some more opinions, and case studies that you can share as well.
Well, the main reason for me is I love to have some control. And when you
Okay.
have someone stand up behind a microphone, they can go rogue so easy. And you can
You don't know
literally
when you're going
have
to get it back. Yeah.
someone that said they're only going to talk 3 or 4 minutes, and 25 minutes later, they're still talking. And so
Yeah.
your videos are great because you know the start time and the end time, and you can push play, and it's just wonderful because then you can have your timeline, and it's so you can just have it so controlled that way. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I love. Now I'll tell you, one of the things that I've done that I feel like really takes that video up to the next level is if the person that's in the video is there, then we still have the control of the timeline. But then I can say, friends, we're so thrilled to have Jim and Jane right over here. Please, let's give them a round of applause. I walk over to the table, put my arm on their shoulder and say, thank you so much for sharing your story tonight. And then it just became, instead of just a television spot, now it's personal. Now they're right there in
Yeah.
the room and it just became real. So I think the
Yeah.
combination there is really important. A lot of times people don't want to, they don't feel comfortable getting up in front of talking. And if you do a video, you can always stop, rewind. Let's do it again because you don't get a second chance and a third chance. When you're up on stage, what happens is going to happen, right? So it's really important for people to feel comfortable. And so that's another reason that I really like the videos because you can let them practice a few times and get them comfortable. So of course the videos are so important on the fun to need, yes. But that's why now we'd like to add the videos onto the live auction portion. But I'm going to tell you another area that I love the videos. I want people to make sure that they're recording that event and then they can take out pieces of it to use and say, friends, for the ones that didn't make it to the event, you can utilize that video and cut out nuggets and send that to the people who didn't get to make it and say, we hated to miss you this year. This is what you missed. Here's an opportunity to still support us. And then have that link to your donations. Also, you can take that video and use it as invites for the next year. Hey, 2026 is coming up. And don't forget, 2025 was so much fun. You don't want to miss it. And then have that 10-second clip of the highlights of the last year. And then
Yeah.
that way you're once again using that video footage. Because a lot of people will say, oh, I hate to spend the money for that, right? It's not in the budget anymore. It's so inexpensive to capture that video and redo it and just use it. And when you think about using it for invites for the next year, thank yous for this year with extra requests, you can't
Mhm.
afford not to capture that footage, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you just said it. It's like I was gonna piggyback on that. It's just a still images are great, videos are just immaculate for thanking folks and how much of an impact they had the night of and what have you, and sharing with them. Hey, you said something about the live auction, the fun and need. I'm gonna hit you with another rapid fire question. Um, what's coming first in your world?
Oh, are you serious?
I
Live
am.
auction or fund to need, which is first?
Yes, yes.
I think it depends on the event, okay? I'm
Of
gonna
course.
say that.
Okay, that's
It
very
depends on the
diplomatic of you. That's very diplomatic of you, but if you had to choose and someone goes, "Hey, you're a world champion auctioneer. I need your input for my event. What's coming first?" You're like, "Okay, we're gonna do a video before the fun and need. However, what's happening first, live auction or fun and need?" In a perfect scenario for you, understanding that every
okay,
event's very unique and has its own atmosphere. Yeah.
okay. I'm gonna start the live auction right after dinner. I mean, as soon as dessert drops, I'm gonna go right into the live auction because
Okay.
I'm gonna use time that way. And
Okay.
that's a great opportunity to multi-purpose. So while they're eating dessert, I can get the live auction started. They talk less, they're eating, but yet they still have that bid number right there. Okay.
Yep.
So
Yep.
live auction, and then I'm gonna do the mission appeal, which is the video, and then I'm gonna go right into the fund to need. And then after
Yep.
that, any awards, any presentations, those are going to be after that. But please, please, please don't leave your fundraising to the end of the night. That's just
Yeah.
that breaks my heart. It's like,
Yeah, yeah.
don't do that. You're leaving money on the table, or it's actually walking out the room if
Yeah.
you don't do it a little sooner. Think about this too, that if dinner's running a little bit late, I can still go ahead and start the live. So we won't lose time. If you're on a timeline that you're wanting to stick tight with, we can make up time right there and move it up a little bit because you want to give them time to visit. This is another thing, Trevor. People who say, okay, we're not going to have a gap for dinner. We're going to go right from, they're going to be seated from the cocktail time and we're going to move right in the program. And my comment is always going to be, when are you going to let your people talk? When are you going to let your tables visit? Because guess what? If you don't give them time, they're going to visit during your program. So I
Yeah.
always recommend once you get people seated and do your welcome and a few sponsor thank yous, then at least give them 10 or 15 minutes and let the plates drop. And so it's the opportune time to let them, as soon as they're seated, have those salads preset. Obviously, that is just I love having salads and dessert preset. That way I can go ahead and break right into that live auction and not have a dessert staff. So just by
Yeah.
doing those two presets, I can save a lot of time in the program and just keep on moving.
Yep.
Does that make
Yep.
sense?
It makes total sense. Sorry for putting you on the spot. But
Are
you
you
can
kidding
tell
me? There's
you
no
can
putting me on the spot.
no, I know there's not. I know there's not. I know you wouldn't say no. Hey, okay, so I'm gonna put you on the spot again. It's very, very frothy for folks to say, uh, I
Frothy.
don't gosh, I don't like people calling folks that bid in the live auction transactional givers. Now, let me give you some context.
Okay.
Folks will say, we don't want to rob from the fun and need in the live auction. And the folks in the live auction are transactional givers, and the folks in the fund and need are heart givers and philanthropic givers and things like that. And I've had friends say this stuff. I just don't agree with it. I actually don't think that we should label folks that are willing to buy an item for $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 in your live auction a transactional giver, because I actually think that they will give in the fund and need as well.
The way I like to look at that is that you're going to have people who have a travel budget. All right.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so I want to get their entertainment, their travel budget. I want to get that money at the event instead of having them go get it somewhere else. And so
yep,
instead of thinking them as transactional givers, no, I want to think of them as as people who want to support you and utilize another area of their giving here at our event. And so, I don't know. I think that there's opportunities that those people that may not have planned on giving, or plan on buying that trip. I mean, that happens all the time. That I'm
Mhm.
working on trying to get people who are deciding to take their vacation at another time, that I want them to take that vacation from our event. And so
Yeah.
I don't really, I'm not looking at it all like what you were talking about. And
Yeah.
I do feel like there are people that I can talk into that weren't planning on doing any of that, but they're
Yeah.
so inspired by the program and so inspired by our mission. And they just get touched. And then they're like, we have to support this organization tonight because they're making a difference. They are
Mhm.
truly making a difference in this world. And and I always tell people that you realize, right, Trevor, that people who donate and people who volunteer and people who give, they lead longer, healthier lives. And so I
Mm.
was at my events, I'll say, you do know that by giving tonight, you're going to lead a longer, healthier life because people who give and volunteer, they just are happier people. I want to help you be a happier person who lives a longer, healthier life.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love
So
that. I love that.
I believe in just facilitating any giving that people want to give, whether they want to buy a trip or whether they want to raise their paddle. We want to make them all feel appreciated. And to me, that's the key of being on stage is just making everyone feel appreciated by their donations, however they choose to give it that night.
I
Boy,
love
that
that.
sounded really good, didn't it?
It did sound good. It was very eloquent. Yes, yes. Sorry for getting a little chippy on my soapbox with that one, not towards you, but just towards the labeling of people. Let me ask you a follow-up question. Does the live auction rob from the fun and need?
No, I think it's two different things because
Yeah,
and and I hear this a lot that people want to do their fund and need first and then do the live auction. And I'm okay with that. Do I
yeah.
think it makes a difference? I really don't. Because
Mhm.
I think people who are going to be giving and buying live auction items, they're still going to give at the fund and need. And if they're not going to buy, I don't think that they're going to give more if they don't get something bought. I think people go in premeditated on we're going to give this, unless the program is so moving that they increase their giving level during the fund and
Mhm.
need. But
Mhm.
I don't think they do one or the other. And I don't think if they buy a trip that they're not going to give in the fund and need. I think that
Good.
they believe in the mission and they want to support it.
I love that. I love that. It begs another question. It was one that I hadn't even thought of on the way in today, before we met. It seems like there's a it seems like 50-50 where it's like 50% of folks at our events now are coming for the first time as
I'm seeing a
guests
lot of
or
that.
what. Yeah, right? Okay, cool. So that's a trend that we're seeing as well, or at least hearing from folks that are doing events. And one thing that I really, really think we could double click on or just really, really, twist the dial on is okay, someone's a guest. They bid on something and didn't win in the live auction, and whether it was an item that could be sold 10 times or only sold once. Let's just say they raised their paddle at $4,000 and they didn't win and they've never been to your event. How are you coaching organizations to approach that person, and what are you inviting them to say to that person that that was willing to, you just identified a mid-level donor that's never been to your event, that was willing to give $4,000, that's never been to your event before. That's a massive opportunity, and that happens a lot. Are you seeing that? Are you talking to folks about that? How are you, and if so, how are you coaching organizations to capitalize on that moment with that particular person or couple or what have you?
I think there's opportunity there, but I also think that you don't want to get confused about someone who is going to make a 4,000 donation to your organization versus someone who is going to buy a $4,000 trip. Okay. There's a difference
Okay,
there. Because that
okay,
person
okay,
who was bidding $4,000, they were bidding on an experience. They were bidding on something
okay,
that they were going to be taking with their family or with their spouse or with their partner. So
okay.
that's not like saying, "Oh my gosh, we just had somebody who's almost going to give $4,000 to our organization."
Yep.
But
Point taken.
but
Yep.
I do feel like there's a great opportunity for relationships there. And what I want to see organizations do is reach out and say, we noticed that you bid and didn't win, but we want to thank you. Can you imagine being contacted and saying, hey, even though you weren't a winner at our event, even though you didn't walk away with a trip, we appreciate you because you were there and you supported us. And that means a lot. So thank you so much for just being a part of our successful evening.
Yeah.
Now, if you did something like that to me as a donor, if I'm a first time attendee and I'm trying to decide what different missions, what different organizations I'm going to support this year, you just went from here up to here. And it's more likely that I am going to either research your organization and find out more about you and deep dive into, do I really want to, support you,
Yeah.
versus someone that I go to, I never hear from them again. And it was a one shot wonder. I went to an event, had fun, drank too much. I kind of felt bad. I gave a couple $100, but I never heard from him the next day. I mean,
Hmm.
seriously, that's happened to a lot of people, a lot.
Hmm.
But think about the people who are first timers who truly get touched by what happened to them that evening, that they listened to the mission. They had an opportunity for some education about what you do. And then the follow up was just a sincere thank you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
Massive,
it's
massive opportunity.
about relationships, and we know that storytelling and relationships. So you've got to hit them with both areas. And I'm all
Yeah.
about, I mean, I am all about relationships. Actually, when you go and if you check out my website at Everything Gala, the thing, it's like we're serious relationship oriented. And the
Yeah.
organizations that I've been working with, a lot of them are for many, many years. And
Hmm.
I know people when I walk into the room, they're, matter of fact, I mean, I love it when people say, "Oh my gosh, we're so glad you're back." When you hear that, when you walk in the room, it just makes you know you're just like, oh, it just gives you that little warm fuzzies, and it's
It's a
it's
big
so
deal.
nice that people are just glad to see you, and they know that you're gonna just make sure that you fill that room with with just really good thoughts and good vibes. And I mean, my
Yeah.
goal is I want people just to have such a great time that evening and really feel like they're making a difference, and that they want to just throw all their money at me. Just please take more.
Yeah.
I want to give you more
Give
money.
me, give me that money. Um,
I'll
I
take
want to
it off your
name drop.
hands.
I had a very interesting conversation, and I've had a handful of conversations with his name's Nathan Chappelle, and he wrote The Generosity Crisis. He also wrote AI for Nonprofits. And what was really, really interesting is that on a podcast that we did, he said, we've done all the research, thousands and thousands of donors and thousands of events. And he said, the indication that if someone comes to your event three times, 3 years in a row consecutively, that they will become lifelong givers of your organization. So we're
Mm.
talking about, the first time someone comes, making them, like you said, the warm and fuzzies, the sincere thank yous. And if they come to your event 3 years in a row, the likelihood shoots through the roof that they'll become lifelong givers to your mission organization. It's pretty fascinating that
Well, and
he
that's
had
just the
that
power of
data.
habit. And that's
For
that's
sure. Yeah.
any habit that you're doing. They tell you if you do something three times in a row, it's more likely to become habit. And
Isn't that
I
wild?
mean, that's why that first event is so, so important because I
Mhm.
mean, you don't know. Well, we always say as soon as someone arrives to the event, Trevor, they arrive there. What's their very first experience when they get to the event? It's parking. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's like, what? Parking? Yes, if they have a bad experience out in that parking lot, they're driving around and around trying to find a place to park. They're already getting aggravated, right? Or
Hmm. Hmm.
the valet is way backed up and they're getting
Hmm.
aggravated. So
Yeah.
you have to make each step of that event and a positive situation. So you go
Yeah.
from parking to registration. Registration needs to be a positive experience. How do you make it a positive experience? Don't have long lines. How do you not have long
Yeah.
lines? Have enough people that are there to take care of them and make sure they're pre-registered. Oh, pre-registration.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Don't make people wait in line because guess what? When they walk into your event, they're so much happier. And when people are happy, they give more money. So think about
Yeah.
that. How do we make every step of the process a more positive experience for people? And that's
Super
why we
fun.
work with them from the very beginning of I mean, really parking, who thinks of that? Well,
Yeah.
it's important. I mean, I know that when
It's a
I
big
get
deal.
to events, parking can be a real pain. It can be,
Yeah.
especially if you're downtown Chicago, that's not near as much fun as if you're in a burb and you can just, park in all one of the spaces around the building and just walk in. So those are the
Right.
things that you really have to think about. I'm doing an article right now for meeting planners and for venue directors and addressing those types of things on and developmental directors, they have the same concerns, how to help people that are waiting in lines and the logistics of making sure that if you have 1,000 people in the room, how long does it take to drop plates so that you can arrange that into your program? So all of that is into that timeline planning. I know I just kind of veered way off, but I'm, you know, squirrel shiny
No, you
object.
got it.
But
No,
I think that pre-planning is so important and thinking of all the steps to keep people happy. That's what I want to do. I want happy people in the room that that just they're smiling because they've had such a great experience. And then when the event is over, they're like, when they do the save the date for next year, they really are. They're having so much fun. Oh, we got to make sure we get here, especially the event like I had last Saturday night, sold out. They sell out in the
yeah,
first 2 weeks that they announce their date, 1,000 seats. And so, what are you going to do there? You're going to mark your date on that to make sure that you get in next year because when it's sold out, that's that's cool beans. That's one of the
that's a
that's
wrap.
awesome is to have a sold out
Yeah,
event. So,
yeah,
I mean, make it happy.
yeah, yeah. A happy bidder is a higher bidder. It sounds like.
I believe that. I do.
I love it. I I saw it firsthand at a small school event as my 7-year-old school event. I was just like, "Oh my gosh, these people are." Some people at check-in were hitting such low lows. I'm like, "They're never gonna climb out of that tonight." It's really, really a bummer, and I couldn't do anything about it. I was, I was I was the champagne underwriter, so I was like, "If I'm gonna buy the champagne, I'm gonna pour the champagne and hand it to all the folks after check-in." So that's what I was doing. It was really fun. Um,
You did that at check-in,
I
right?
named yeah, I gave him champagne at check-in. It was cool.
See,
Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah. It
you've
was
got
really
a
fun.
line at check-in, that's what I
Yeah,
always tell everybody.
yeah,
If you think you're gonna have a line and you just can't stay away from it, then have people with wine, have
yeah,
tubs with iced down beer so that they can grab a drink right there because people with a drink in their hand are happier than people without a drink in their hand. And
yeah, yeah,
one of the things that I'm seeing really strong right now, Trevor, I think if you probably said
yeah.
what are the top trending things that you see, it's people
Yeah.
that aren't drinking at events and it's having
Okay.
mocktails and it's having options for safer experiences for people as they're leaving. I know my
Yeah.
my daughter Maddie. I mean, she's always talking about, hey, we're hearing that more and more as a 20 something. I mean, they're going out and not drinking, but they're having
Yeah.
fun with these creative mixologists that are doing it without alcohol. And so the
Yeah.
mocktail
Yeah.
thing it is strong, especially with our younger ones, and I love to see that, that's great.
No question. I love that. I love that knowledge drop. I think it's huge. Yeah. Anything else that you're seeing as we close out this season, the end of 2025, that you're like, okay, this is staying. This is great. Love this. Oh my gosh, it's having an effect on the bottom line. Something that you can leave with the audience.
Shake it up.
Come on
Shake it
now.
up. Change it
Yeah.
up. I mean, if there's
Yeah.
one phrase that drives me absolutely crazy, it's, "But Shannon, this is the way we've always done it." Ah,
Mhm.
okay. Well, guess what? If
Yeah.
that's working and you're making a lot of money at it, I love it. Let's keep doing it. But
Yeah.
if it's not, then stop the insanity. Let's change it up and do
Yeah.
something fun. There are so many different things to do. And if you look that there are so many different revenue generators that you can do to create in cocktail time. There's so many different ways that you can shake up your program fundraising. And then there's after event fundraising that you can even do when the event is over to still capitalize on the event. So let's look at something different. And if it's worked for you, great. Let's share it so that other organizations can do it too. And if you're maybe having some questions on how can we do things different, then let's try it because
Yeah.
what worked for somebody else it might work for you too. So let's do
Yeah.
it. If you've been doing heads or tails for 10 years, well, let's shake it up and let's do roll the dice. There's other games that you can play. Still keep your donors engaged because I do love having giving at different levels so that the people who are giving 25, $50 can have fun and still support the night and not feel like they have to be $1,000 donor or they're really getting left out. So I want to make sure
Right.
that everybody has an opportunity to give at different levels because collectively it adds up and it's all important.
I love it. I love it. Hey, you mentioned your website when you're talking about relationships and how uh, uh, driven you all are by that. The website's awesome. I've told you that before. It's going to be in the show notes so folks can find it. We're going to put your LinkedIn profile in the show notes as well. Do us a favor, do the audience a favor. What's the easiest way for folks to find you? Where are you working? Where are you doing events? All that good stuff. We're going to put your business in the street.
Well, Shannon at Everything Gala. That's the easiest way to reach me. And I do have to tell you, on my website, I mean, my logo is, I have to tell you. So my logo
Yeah.
is the incredible, the giving tree. And in
Yeah.
that tree, my dad um, is, he was just the most inspirational man in my whole life. And he's the one who sent me to auction school. And my dad
Mm,
was not an auctioneer. I'm first generation.
hmm.
And so anyway, it was just it was incredible for my dad to just feel like I was going to be able to be an auctioneer. So I went to auction school, went great. Yes, that was next year I'll be celebrating 40 years as an auctioneer, which is insane.
Wow.
But anyway, in my logo, there is a little cherry in the tree. My dad's favorite pie was cherry pie. And so I put that cherry in the logo to honor my dad just because of the incredible man he was. And so I feel like and I want everything that I do to have some kind of a mark, to have some kind of a statement, to have some kind of a special meaning and mean something. Um, so I felt like that was a great tribute that I could do for my dad. So that means a
Wow.
lot. And my teams, oh my goodness, I work with the most incredible people, and
Yeah.
we're all passionate about what we do, and we really feel like that it's more than just showing up the night of. It's being vested into the organization, and whether it's going and seeing what their organization is doing. And you'll never know where you're going to see me show up at at a Hope Lodge or at a I want to know where that money's going. I want to if I'm vested, then I can get on the stage and talk from my heart about how important it is to support that organization. So
I love
I do believe in getting totally vested in that. So that's important. But thank you for the kind words about the website. It was very important. We just started January the 1st, so this is completing our first year. Even though I've been in the business and working with nonprofits for many, many, many years, I'm excited to take this journey with Everything Gala with a good group of people that I'm surrounding. So I'm excited, and we're just finishing up our first year.
Oh,
And oh my gosh, am I overwhelmed with the response? And it's so exciting, Trevor, and working with incredible
that's
people like
awesome.
HGA. We appreciate you so very much because you make us look good. When we can get up there and people are happy because they've taken a great trip and they've had a good experience, and they can stand up and say, "Oh my gosh, we took this trip with this organization and it was incredible." Those testimonials are gold. They're gold. And just the same, somebody can come back and say, "Oh, we went on a trip with that company and that was so bad. You don't ever want to do that." That can crush you. It can cost you even losing donors. So what you
Yeah.
do is so important on making us either shine, 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 or really have to do some cleanup. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you always making us shine.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate the kind words. What a beautiful way to, well, beautiful words about your father. And yeah, like I said, the website's amazing. We're very, very happy for you. We're not surprised by the success and the response. You've earned it. Your team's earned it. Here's to many, many more years with everything Gala. Very, very happy for you. And I know the audience is going to get a ton out of this episode. So can't thank you enough for the time and for being auction Shannon. Full circle. I love it. I love it. Thanks so
Oh,
much for coming. Yeah.
thanks,
Thank you so
Trevor.
much.
Okay,
Yeah.
have a good one.
Awesome.